Yeah, welcome to Political Discourse Live with Amao Babajide Samuel. I'm glad to have you in our third edition of our live program every last Sunday of the month by 6 p.m. Of course, I would have to apologize for us coming a few minutes behind the scheduled time of 6 p.m. Nigerian time. We're supposed to come online. Always as a result of some logistic issues and the need to put a few things in proper shape before we come online. Like you would have seen in our banner today, we're going to be looking at the political structure of the two dominant parties, the APC and the PDP, as we move towards February 2023 general election. In just about 11 months from now, Nigeria will be heading towards a poll to decide who is going to be the next president of Nigeria, take over from the reign or the administration of General Muhammadu Buhari that surely will come to an end by 12 midnight on the 28th of May 2023. This is an interesting time for those who have interest in politics. And like I've always said to a number of people, even if you don't have much interest in politics, it's important for us as Nigerians, particularly once you are of age, 18 years and above, to pay attention to political activity and engagement in order to be able to pinpoint what the direction of the new government or administration is or will be. So I want to welcome you again to the third edition of our political leadership discourse live. We want to appreciate everyone that have been following us in our regular posts on Monday, Tuesdays, on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. We appreciate those of you that have been following us on the YouTube, on our Facebook page, and on our Instagram page. For those of us that have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please, I will encourage you to do that. Search for Amao Babajide Samuel on YouTube, and please press the subscribe button and the notification button so that you can get alert anytime we make a new post on our YouTube channel. Please remember to follow us at Babajide Amao on Instagram, and you can always like our Facebook page, Leadership Discourse with Amao Babajide Samuel. Our vision is simple. It's just to enlighten us mentally so that we can be properly positioned to make right decisions in life, and particularly in politics, in choosing who exactly our leader will be. The beauty of democracy is that it assumes that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's the definition of democracy as given by Abraham Lincoln, who at the time was the president of the United States of America. And it is believed that sovereignty, the ultimate power to rule, lies in the hands of the masses, in the sense that we have the power to put a party or a person in position of authority, and we also have the power to recall them or to put them out of power if such party or individual is not doing well. That, of course, we have witnessed in the Fourth Republic. Of course, the People's Democratic Party have had the reign of power since 1998, specifically 1999, May 29, when Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was inaugurated as the new president, democratic president of Nigeria. At some point, the People's Democratic Party controlled 30 or 31 states. By the time Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was handing over power to Alhaji Musa Umaru Musa Yar'Adua in 2008. At that time, PDP was in control of 31 states. Of course, not long after that, the Supreme Court ruled out the administration of Andy Uba in Anambra State, and that reduced the number of states to 30. That was the same time Governor Peter Obi of Habga was ruled to have won that election. As the case would be, we have had a number of changes in government at the state and the federal level. At some point, PDP felt it was going to rule Nigeria for 60 good years because they were solid, they had the structure, and they felt they have people everywhere. But in 2013, we saw the emergence and the merger of three strong opposition party, Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, was strong in the southwestern part of Nigeria, merging with the CPC, the Congress, the CPC of General Muhammadu Buhari. Of course, at that time, CPC was only in control of Nasarawa State, which was the only states that CPC controlled at that time. But the person and the pedigree of the personality called Muhammadu Buhari had always contested the previous two elections and had garnered over 3 elections before that time, and had garnered over 12 million votes at every show of election contests from 2003, 2007, and 2011, when he contested on the platform of the party he formed, which was the CPC. We also had a version of Habga, which was led by Chief Rocha Zowole Okorocha, who at that time was the governor of Imo State. He was part of the group that formed the APC. Finally, we had about 3, 4, or 5 states from the northern part of Nigeria under the administration of the All Nigerian People's Party. These 4 parties came together to form a consortium of a new party called All Progressive Congress, which, of course, made Chief Bisi Akande, who at the time was the governor of Osun State from 1999 to 2003, as he was made the first acting chairman of the All Progressive Congress. Chief Bisi Akande led the merger and took the party to its first convention, where through consensus, Chief Oyegun from Edo State, Nigeria, in southern part of Nigeria, was made the second chairman of the All Progressive Congress. And it was Chief Oyegun that led the APC into the general election in 2015, an election which was won by APC, and that brought an end to the rule of the People's Democratic Party, who had boasted that it as a party would rule Nigeria for 60 good years. That changed the dynamics of our politics, because the People's Democratic Party now became the opposition party, while the All Progressive Congress became the ruling party. Between then and now, we've had dynamics of changes in the politics of both the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, and the All Progressive Party. In the last convention held by the People's Democratic Party, it's elected its 15th chairman, the chairman of the party, in person of Senator Ayocha Hayu, December 2021. And just yesterday, the All Progressive Congress also elected a new chairman in person of Senator Abdullahi Adamu. It's an interesting time because politics had just begun with the emergence of the chairman of these two key political parties. Then the drama of politics is going to begin with the INEC timetable. All the political parties must determine who is going to be their presidential flag bearer on or before the 6th or 8th of June 2022. What that means is that in just about 8 weeks from now, we are going to know the candidate, the person or the personality that will be bearing the flag of the ruling All Progressive Congress and the opposition People's Democratic Party. It's going to be an interesting time because politics determines almost everything in our nation. It determines the direction of our governance, our economy, and of course, it tells a lot on even how our resources will be used or will be harnessed. We should be aware that Nigeria runs a mixed economic system where governments still play a dominant or active role in the allocation and the management of the available resources that we have. So today, very briefly, in the next 30 minutes or thereabout, we're going to be looking at the dynamics of the structure of each political party as it touches the chairman of these two individual parties, which would determine how and who is going to clinch the ticket of each of those parties and what bloc in those parties would eventually prevail in their campaign towards presenting a flag bearer for the party ahead of the 2023 elections. So I want to welcome you once again. I'm glad that you are here. I would also like to apologize before we go fully into our discourse today. We have been a bit inconsistent with our political discourse post in the last 2 weeks. Of course, we have a whole lot of other engagements, business aside, and that sometimes gives us a limitation in terms of time to be able to make some of these videos for our consumption. But I would assure you that in a couple of weeks from now, you would on every Saturday begin to get our update on the political discourse so that we can be properly educated and enlightened as a touch political activity in Nigeria. That, in a way, would help us to make right decisions and help to improve on our political participation. Record over the years had shown that the political participation of Nigeria had been going down since 1999 to date. In the last election held in 2015, it is said that we have about 84 million eligible voters. But out of these 84 million eligible voters, only less than 30 million, precisely about 28 or 29 million people came out to vote in that election, which means less than 40%, of course, of the eligible voters. In fact, precisely just about 30% of the eligible voters come out on election day to vote and determine who exactly becomes the governor or the president, the members of the House of Reps, the senators that represent us in government. This, I think, we should work towards improving going into 2023 election, because we have seen obviously how getting the right person in position of authority had gone. We have seen the extent that it has gone to help us improve or stabilize our economy, our security, and what have you, and how getting a wrong person in position of authority had equally thrown a blow at the stability of our economy and even the management of our resources. Virtually 80% or 90% of our elected governors, legislatures, after leaving office, would have to be pursued by the EFCC, Economic and Financial Crime Commission, on account of one mismanagement or the other of our combined resources as a nation. This should not be. We need people who are passionate for human capacity development, people who are passionate to give us a stable economy, people who are passionate to give us a secured nation. These are categories of people that we need in position of authority. And they would only, our politicians will only be cautious of providing good governance, provided that they know that the power to put them in power and the power to remove them from power lies in the hand of the electorate. So going towards the poll in 2023, for those of us that are above the age of 18 that have not gotten our PVC, we still have between now and June ending to register and get our PVC. And those of us that have the PVC, please, it should not be for decoration. We must get involved in choosing who our next leader is going to be. By not going to vote, you are indirectly allowing the politicians to dictate to us who is going to be our leader. And this, we must change the dynamics to ensure that we have a better governance that would move our nation from the state it is to a state of growth and development. So today, I would like us to briefly look at the dynamics of the politics of the two major parties. No doubt that either the People's Democratic Party or the All Progressive Congress is going to feed the next president for our nation in 2023. For those who are still hoping and aspiring that there will be a third force, I'm sorry to disappoint you, because as at today, there is no third force in view to wrestle power from either the People's Democratic Party or the opposition, sorry, or the ruling All Progressive Congress. You remember, casting back your mind, that in the 2015 election that led into the emergence of the APC, the merger took place in 2013. That was about 2 years to the general election, when, like I said, these four legacy parties, the Action Congress of Nigeria, the CPC, the part of HABGA, and the ANPP came together to form a consortium that will wrestle power from the ruling People's Democratic Party at that time. And luckily for them, just a year after, while some aggrieved members of the PDP walked out of the 2014 convention to form the new PDP. It was called the NPDP at that time, led by Kawu Baraje, leading about 5 governors out of the then PDP. And, after a few negotiations here and there, the NPDP joined the Action or the All Progressive Congress. And that made the party very formidable, because at that time, before those 5 governors left, just like we have today, where APC has about 22 governors under its control, PDP had 13 at the moment, and we have one belonging to HABGA. In 2014, before the walkout of these 7 governors, 2 of them eventually went back to PDP, while 5 went to join the APC. Before that time, under the leadership of Bamanga Tuku as the chairman at that time, PDP was boasting of having 22 governors under its control. All right, not knowing that it was going to lose more states in the 2015 election and was also going to lose the seat of the president. So that was the dynamics of the game there. As of today, we are not likely to have any third force, because there is no structure. There is no structure. There is no other party where we have the presence of a number of governors. As we have it today, 22 governors are under the control of APC, 13 governors under the control of PDP, and 1 governor under the control of HABGA. And obviously, HABGA had relegated itself to just controlling power in Anambra State. Of course, HABGA was a legacy, or is a legacy party of the then warlord Chief Ojukwu, who was the founder of that party. And ever since he founded that party, and that party came into power, was it in 2003 or 4, to date, we've had a situation where consistently HABGA had only kept sway of Anambra State. Sometimes or most times it parleys with the ruling government or the ruling party to ensure that maybe the ruling party wins the presidential election in Anambra State. So that has been the dynamic. So obviously the race is between the PDP and the APC. Now the question is, who is going to eventually win the majority vote in 2023? Is it the All Progressive Congress ruling party, or the People's Democratic Party, which is at the moment the opposition party? If you had followed the politics in the last few weeks, you would see that all the game most of this party are trying to play is to ensure that the party wins the 2023 election. We have seen the likes of the PDP telling us that the race for the presidency is open, obviously because the People's Democratic Party is aware that for it to win the 2023 election, it needs a lot of votes from the northern part of Nigeria. Of course, the northern extraction of Nigeria has about 19 states, while the south had about 17 states. And out of these 17 states, about 5 or 6 or 7 is under the control of the opposition party. Of course, the People's Democratic Party knows at the moment that the Southwest is not much of an area it can actually exert its influence, because most of the political bigwigs are in the All Progressive Congress. Now, the strength of PDP in the South majorly is in the Southeast and the South-South. And by the time you combine the voting strength in the Southeast with the South-South, it's just slightly above the voting strength of the southwestern part of Nigeria. So the PDP is aware that for it to be able to win the 2023 election, it needs a lot of votes from the north, the northeast, the northwest, and the north central. And that is why the argument, particularly by the founding fathers of the People's Democratic Party, is that there is no need for zoning, because if the presidency is zoned to the south in the PDP, it's 90% sure that the party is going to lose 2023 election, which they do not want to, because by then it will mean that for 12 straight years, PDP is going to be an opposition party, which is a side they never think or would want to belong. So the politics is clear, because the PDP is aware that for it to win the presidential election, it must produce a strong contending force from the northern part of Nigeria. Of course, another thing they have at the back of their mind is that out of the 19 states in the northern part of Nigeria, about 14 of these states are under the control of the APC. Only about 3 or 4 of the northern states is at the moment under the control of the People's Democratic Party. These are Sokoto State, Bauchi State, Taraba State, Adamawa State, and what other state is that? We have about 4 or 5 of these northern states under the control of the PDP. So 14 states are clearly under the All Progressive Congress. And that's the more reason why they need a strong political figure from the northern extraction so as to be able to contend the forces, the forces of government at each of these states level in order to ensure that PDP is able to garner reasonable vote from each of these 19 states in Nigeria. And in the bid to play in that politics, we have seen how Senator Ayucha Ayu emerged as its political party through consensus in December 2021. Many people, particularly the younger folks, might not have a knowledge of who Senator Ayucha Ayu is. Senator Ayucha Ayu, of course, born in 1952, just about 70 years now, is one of the founding fathers of the People's Democratic Party. Of course, he started his active politics in the early 90s. Of course, he was involved in the late 70s in the Second Republic, but not too active, because at that time he was lecturer at University of Jos. Ayucha Ayu is a strong man from Boko, a thief man from Boko in Benue State. And the fact remains that he has been a strong force because in 1992, he won the senatorial seat. Before he went into politics, he was the chairman of ASU in Junijos. And that, of course, as a lecturer, he was a very strong person and is very strong and respected political figure by the Tiv people. So in 1992, under the platform of the SDP, you will remember for the older folks that General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, while trying to hand over power to a democratically elected government, formed two parties, the SDP, the Social Democratic Party, and the NRC. SDP at that time presented MKO Abiola as its presidential flag bearer, and while the NRC presented Laji Bashir Tofa as its flag bearer. A lot of the NPN members in the Second Republic were in the SDP. And after the election, Ayucha Ayu was elected the Senate President in 1992. He was the Senate President in 1992 between 1992 and 1993 when he was impeached. And why was he impeached? When General Ibrahim Babangida refused to hand over power or to declare the election that purportedly was reported to have been won by Chief MKO Abiola of the SDP. And he wanted to, because he knew his time was up, he decided to hand over power to an interim government that was to be led by Chief Ernest Shonekon. So Ayucha Ayu, being a principled man, was vehemently against the establishment or the formation of an interim government. And it was on that ground that the coup was planned against him, and he was impeached by his members. At that time, the likes of Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu and a lot of other persons were members of the Senate at that time. The political warlord in Kano, in person of Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, was, I think, the deputy speaker, was either the speaker or the deputy speaker of the House of Representatives at that time. So you would see that most of the key political actors that we have today started their political engagement in the Third Republic in 1990, 1991, 92. And that is why, like I've always told a large number of people, that the personality of IBB and Olusegun Obasanjo plays key role in determining who would or who have been and who would be the president of Nigeria in this Fourth Republic. So Ayucha Ayu, for me not to digress too much, was a founding member of the People's Democratic Party. He was one of those that led the campaign for Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, an election that made Obasanjo the president of Nigeria in 1999. So he was equally a strong man because he was respected in Tifland. So he was more or less like, he was the one that brought George Akume, who was governor of Benue State between 1999 and 2007. He was George Akume's political mentor and political godfather at that time. So he was a strong man. And he, of course, even before the administration of Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999, he eventually was a Minister of Education under the military regime of General Sani Abacha. I think that was between 1993 to 1995. And while Obasanjo was forming his cabinet, Senator Ayucha Ayu was a strong member of his cabinet. At the time, he was the Minister of Industry, I think. Later, he was made the Minister of Internal Affairs and Minister of Environment. So he was a member of the cabinet 1999 to 2001, was also a member of the cabinet 2003 to 2005. But in December 2005, Ayucha Ayu was sacked from being a member of the cabinet on the account of the fact that many of them were in support of Atiku Abubakar, and they were vehemently against the third-term agenda, as it was, of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo in 2006, 5, 6, 7. Because at that time, there was a rumor that the bid to give Nigeria a new constitution was just an effort by Chief Olusegun Obasanjo to seek for the third term. So there were a number of ministers and governors that were vehemently against the third term agenda of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo at that time. That was one of the reasons, of course, silent reason why Ayucha Ayu was sacked as the Minister of Environment in December 2005. So because of his parley with Atiku Abubakar, he and a lot of other members that were in support of Atiku Abubakar, who at that time was the vice president of Nigeria under the platform of People's Democratic Party, they left PDP and they formed alliance with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who right from time had always been against Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. So they joined forces with him and they moved from PDP to the Action Congress, AC as it was called at that time. So Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of course, seeing it as an opportunity to present a strong fight against Chief Olusegun Obasanjo and the People's Democratic Party, welcomed them to Action Congress and gave Atiku Abubakar the ticket on the platform of AC, and Ayucha Ayu played a very prominent role in ensuring that he leads the campaign of Atiku at that time. Unfortunately, they did not give a good show, as Atiku had just about 2 million plus votes. And that election, 2007, was won by Alhaji Umaru Musa Yar'Adua of the People's Democratic Party, who eventually ruled from 2007 to 2010. It was this same Ayucha Ayu, as a godfather and mentor to George Akume, that caused George Akume to follow him to the Action Congress. And that was how George Akume became the senator of ACN, or AC that metamorphosed into ACN, ever since 2007 up until 2019, when he lost that seat of the senatorial district to the PDP candidate. So you would see that the PDP had a reason. So after some years of irrelevance in Action Congress, of course, Ayucha Ayu came back home to the People's Democratic Party. And, when the People's Democratic Party felt they needed an experienced and an exposed man who is going to be their chairman, that could actually serve as the link between the founding fathers and the new generation of politicians, the governors, the senators, the members of the House of Rep in the People's Democratic Party, they knew the person to look up to was Ayucha Ayu. He's actually a cool-headed man who believes so much in consensus, understands the power of politics, is a principled politician from North Central Nigeria. So, of course, the game was played knowing fully well that the Northeast and the Northwest might be interested in feeding persons into becoming the president of, or contesting for the office of the president of Nigeria in 2023. And likewise, the southern region, of course, knows fully well that they also might be interested. Though truth be told, there is no strong political figure in southern Nigeria today that can boast of garnering a good number of significant votes for the People's Democratic Party because the West, the South, and the East in the southern region do not speak one voice politically. And the North are always aware of this, and that is why they have always taken advantage of the division between the three regions in southern Nigeria to be able to have their way in determining who is going to be the next president of Nigeria. So once the North vote in a particular direction and they are able to corner either the West or the East or the South, when they are able to corner one or two of these regions, they are sure that they are going to win the day. So that is part of the reason why when you see the number of political actors that wants to become the president on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, the serious contenders majorly comes from the northern extraction. Talk about the likes of Aminu Tambawa, who is the current governor of Sokoto State, Bukola Saraki, who was the former governor of Kwara State and the immediate past president of the Senate. We have this governor from Bauchi State, who is also a very strong contender. And you have the Waziri of Adamawa in person of Atiku Abubakar. These are strong contenders, and these are forces to beat in the north. Of course, there have been the emergence of Chief Dele Momodu from Benin, Pius from Ebonyi State, who at the time 2003, 2005, 7 was the Senate president under the administration of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. We've had the likes of Peter Obi, who was the former governor of Anambra State and who also was the vice presidential running mate, was a running mate to Atiku Abubakar in the 2019 election. So that's the dynamics of the game, the political game that is being played in the People's Democratic Party. And we are very sure that one out of these contenders is going to flag is going to bear the flag of the opposition People's Democratic Party come the general election in February 2023. We're sure that in a couple of weeks, that's just about 8 weeks from now, of course, the primaries of the People's Democratic Party will take place on the 28th and 29th of May. That's just about 8 weeks from now. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and see if they will be able to produce a formidable candidate who will be able to give the All Progressive Congress a run for their money and their position. But I'm sure that the All Progressive Congress, having tasted power for 8 years, would also not sleep to allow the People's Democratic Party to win the next coming election. And that is why there have been a lot of intrigues in the past few weeks. A party that have just lived for 7 years have had about 4 or 5 different persons leading the party as its chairman, from Bisi Akonde to Oyegun to Oshiomole to Bono, who is acting, who acted. Of course, his reign ended yesterday when we now have the emergence of Senator Abdullahi Adamu. What an interesting outcome of the convention. Senator Adamu, of course, is a 75 or 76 years old man born in 1946, and he has been in politics for about 45 years, since 1977, in the days of the Northern Party of Nigeria, NPN. He worked vehemently to bring Shehu Shagari into power. And between that time and now, he was also a member of the cabinet of General Sani Abacha. He was the Minister of Works, I think, under the administration of General Sani Abacha, and was equally a founding member of the People's Democratic Party. Of course, he was one of the close ally of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, and one of those that were the forefront of the campaign of the third term agenda of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo at that time. What a time! So while PDP had presented a man that, of course, had related to the likes of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Action Congress in the opposition party. Of course, Action All Progressive Congress, APC, is also presenting a man who, of course, had dined and wined with the People's Democratic Party. So we have a situation where we had two political party chairmen that know each other too well. They served together under the regime of General Sani Abacha between 1993 to 1998. They were both founding members of the PDP. Ayucha Ayu had crossed to ACN, and Abdullahi Adamu also eventually in 2014 crossed to All Progressive Congress. So what's a decision by these two parties? Because you see, the stage is set, and of course the stake is high because the PDP wants to be in power in 2023. They felt 8 years being out of power is just like a very long time, and they cannot spare an extra few years to still remain in opposition. Like you would hear Atiku Abubakar mention the fact that if the PDP loses this presidential campaign, that might mean doom for the party. In the same way, APC are fully aware that if they lose the 2023 election, that perhaps might be the end of the All Progressive Congress. Because don't forget that this party was an amalgamation of 4 different parties that came together, or even 5, when you had the NPDP, the new PDP that joined them in 2014. And these are people with different political ideologies and political interests. One of the key things that have kept these 4 parties together, or 5 parties together, is the personality of Muhammadu Buhari. Now, if Muhammadu Buhari leaves the seat of power in 2023 and APC loses the 2023 election, they are fully aware that that might likely mean an end to the All Progressive Congress Party. And that is why they are doing everything in their power to ensure that they put their house in order so as to ensure that they win the 2023 election. And one of the ways they have done this is to ensure that they have an experienced man, a man that have dined and wined with the PDP, that knows how PDP plays its game, that knows how PDP thinks, a man that have worked with the big political wigs in the likes of the persons of Obasanjo, Babangida, and the likes of others. They understand how they think. They might understand how these people think. They understand the dynamics of the policies of the country. Who will be able to bring his experience on the table to lead the All Progressive Congress towards winning the 2023 election. So basically, Abdullahi Adamu was from Kebbi State, Nasarawa State, from Kefi in Nasarawa State, north central Nigeria. So both the chairman in APC and PDP eventually are from the north central zone. It's amazing because you agree with me that 90% of the 85% of the chairman of political parties in Nigeria had always come from the north central zone. Particularly in the PDP, you have the likes of Jimadi from Benue, the likes of Hadoube from Benue, You have the likes of Colonel Amadou Ali from Kogi State, Kaoba Raje from Kogi State. So most of the time when these parties decide to bring a party chairman from the north, they go to North Central Zone. And the answer is not far-fetched. The North Central Zone has the least in terms of the political weight when it comes to general election. So each of these parties are aware that if they want to win an election, they hardly feed somebody from North Central Zone. So to give the North Central Zone a sense of belonging, they rather go and bring a chairman from any of the 6 states in the North Central Zone to come and become the chairman party, so that it will give the Northwest and the Northeast room to be able to achieve or actualize their political interests or game, as the case might be. And that is why the likes of, we have 6 major states in North Central Zone: Kwara State, Niger State, Benue State, Nasarawa State, and Kogi State. These are major states in the North Central Zone. And of course, you would also notice that North Central Zone is the most divided zone in terms of culture and ethnicity. Okay, if you go to the Northeast, most of them see themselves as Hausa Fulanis. You go to the Northwest, you see most of them as Hausa Fulanis. You go to the Northeast, you talk of the Hausa Fulanis as a major block, the Kanuris as a major block, and maybe you have a few of those in Taraba State who are thieves or Wukaris, as the case might be. But in North Central State, there is diversity because you have the Nupes, you have the Okuns, you have the Igalas, you have the thieves, you have the Idomas. So you see that there are lots. So when the North Central presents a presidential candidate, there is no sense of unity that says, okay, this man is from our own. So, but if a candidate is presented either from the Northeast or from the Northwest, there is a sense of belonging because they fall to the majority ethnic group in the Northern Zone. So that explains why we've always had most of the chairmen of these major political parties coming from the North Central Zone. The moment the party decides that, okay, we are going to produce, the North will produce the chairman of the party. So Abdullahi Adamu, of course, was a strong member. He was a governor of Nasarawa State from 1999 to 2007. He took a break, became the secretary of PDP BOT, and in 2011, he had the call from his people to contest for the Northwest Territorial seat, a position he had occupied. He had won consistently from 2011 till date. Of course, he's going to relinquish his position as a senator in the 9th Assembly, now that he has been made the chairman of the All Progressive Congress. So he was one of those 11 senators that walked out of the 2014 PDP convention, alongside 7 other governors that time. He was a strong voice in the PDP at that time, particularly in North Central Nigeria. And that was what led to his journey into the All Progressive Congress. And he has been a strong member. He equally fought vehemently against Bukola Saraki's emergence as the Senate President in the 8th Assembly, and was one of those that actually fought for the interest of Muhammadu Buhari in that 8th Assembly. Of course, he's an experienced politician. And of course, maybe today we'll say that the NPDP is now in charge of the aims of affair in the All Progressive Congress. The dynamics of the game in the past 8 years or thereabout had been that the Action Congress of Nigeria, the ACN bloc of the APC, led by Ahmed Bola Tinubu, had always produced the chairman. He had always been consulted to produce the chairman, knowing fully well that the CPC block of what is it called, of APC had been in charge of, had always produced the president and the strongest member in the cabinet of Muhammadu Buhari. Of course, that was what led to the rift we had in the 8th Assembly, because the NPDP at that time felt that, okay, they also needed to be in control of something, which was the legislature, as they thought at that time. But, at the end of the day, the PDP, the ACN bloc and the CPC bloc had the upper hand, and that forced out some of those members of the NPN back into their former home, the PDP. It's the like of Abdullahi Adamu, who is now the chairman of the APC, and the likes of Rotimi Amechi, that actually stay put to remain in the APC. And like we have seen today, knowing fully well that APC rather needs a balance, because of course we are aware that Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also contesting to be the president of Nigeria come 2023, and it seems one of the major contenders to beat in the All Progressive Congress. So if it happens that the South will be presenting the next presidential candidate, then they needed a very strong voice in the North who could actually rally around the governors, the 14 governors in the northern extraction, to ensure that they provide strong support, because that is the calculation of the All Progressive Congress. Knowing fully well that the 14 states are fully under the APC in the North, they felt that with a strong candidate from the South, they can actually give strong support and win the 2023 election, presenting a southern presidential candidate. Of course, a lot of things will begin to happen in the next few months. We're going to see political maneuvering, cross-carpeting of major political actors from one party to the other, and that would shape who is eventually going to be the president of Nigeria come 2023. So it's an interesting time, and I want to encourage every one of us to pay attention to the happenings on the political scene, because the hope of Nigeria hangs on who becomes our next president. Hangs on the capacity and the competence and the character of the presidential candidate that will be presented by these two major parties, because Nigeria, you agree with me, is at the brink of collapse, and a lot needs to be done to produce strong contenders that are competent and capable enough to change the dynamics of the story of our nation, from struggling to survive, a nation that is struggling to survive, to a prosperous nation. Thank you for being part of today's Political Discourse Live. It's been an educative time, I want to hope so, particularly for the younger generations who might not understand the dynamics of the game that is actually going on. The decision by the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressive Congress to put forward Ayucha Ayu and Abdullahi Adamu, respectively, as their chairman, has strongly positioned this party as a party that not just the governors can control, but the founding fathers, together with the governors in each of those parties, can play significant role in determining who would emerge as its flag bearer in a couple of weeks from now. And eventually, we can begin to have a hype in political contests, because political rallies and campaigns, according to the INEC timetable, would begin soonest by September, October of this year. Thank you again for being part of our Political Discourse Live. We hope to still join you and that you will join us in the last uh, last Sunday in the month of April. Till we meet then, I want to appreciate those that have been part of our discourse today. Thank you for being part of this discourse. I'll see you by April. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.